Hey, welcome back to the channel. I gotta get this roof buttoned up for the wife's bakery trailer here. I gotta finish something around here. That was dumb. That was dumb. Every tool's a hammer, unless it's a screwdriver, then it's a chisel.
We need a torch. Hate that nut.
We're not doing that. Because it ain't built till it's overbuilt. Don't force it. Get a bigger hammer. Every day's a school day. Well, first thing, 12th, I gotta get. This is the aluminum that goes around the edge of the roof. You put that sticky tape in there and screw it down, and you can buy this stuff online. It's from a vintage camper place that sells stuff just for that, but they don't put the holes in it for you, so you gotta drill a bunch of holes. I can't be trusted to drill them straight or nice or right with my eye, so I guess I'll make some kind of a little block maybe to kind of guide, so I get the spacing the same. Because if I drill these holes and the spacing isn't perfectly the same, my buddy Steve will freak out, okay? He'll totally lose it. I don't want to do that to him, okay? So, just for Stevie, I guess I'll make something. I think if, I don't know, if I make a block and so you drill a hole through the block and then you slide it down, maybe put a pin in and then use the hole to drill the next one and slide it and blah blah, so on so forth. I don't know. We just got to figure it out, okay? You're gonna be just as surprised as me are, so it'll be great. I think I'm ready to drill these. Hey, look, if you landed here because YouTube says, hey, you've been watching stuff about putting roofs on campers, you probably ought to watch this guy. I'm sorry. All right, I'm just making this up as I go along. I will show you this. I found an actual little steel pin, and I prick punched around the hole and got it so the pin stays in. So now I can just start on one end. See, the line that's scratched in the middle should make it so that I drill one hole at 2 inches. When you butt the two pieces together, you'll have holes at 4 inches still. So you'll be 2 inches from the end and then 4-inch spacing. So yeah, let's just pretend I know what I'm doing and go with it. I like to just do a few, you know, and then stop and give her a look-see. Yeah, I like that. Camera gonna focus. Looks good, pretty equal spaces. And I'm drilling from the inside out, so the burr that the drill raises is on the outside. So I'll just go down through there with a bigger drill bit or something, and just take that burr off. But, you know, and you probably don't really have to. The head of the screw will just push that down flat. Probably don't even need to worry about it. Hey, did it. They're all done. I didn't even drill any extra holes in my fingers. They look pretty good, I think. One thing I say is, if you're watching this video because you're going to do this, try to find a piece of steel. This is aluminum, and as I went, this hole kind of got wallered a bit, so it would let the drill walk. But I mean, it's not much. It looks like a lot when the bit's in it, you know, but it really isn't a noticeable amount, so it's not a big deal. But if you had your choice, find a piece of steel. That's all. So all them strips are ready, and these guys that I'm going to do on the front and the back, they came pre-drilled, so they're good to go. Another thing I got to do is I got to trim that. You know, the roof's just whatever the sheet was, so I'm just going to trim it along the edge, and I decided I'll trim it right flush with the edge of the roof, and then that aluminum trim that covers the edge, it wraps around, and the tape, the ceiling tape is wider, so it'll sit on top of the rubber roof, and then it'll wrap around and it'll seal against the siding. And I think that's the right thing to do. I don't know. Also, don't know where my scissors went. I just, oh, wait, pocket. Hey, welcome back to the channel. Oh, no, wait. It's been so long since I worked on the roof last. It seems like a new video, but it's not. It's been months since the clip that you just saw when I was in the garage trying to get this roof finished up. That was when I realized I had to get it outside in order to do it, because I've got to bend the corner trim pieces, but they're long. So when I bend them, they like stick way up in the air as you're. It's a long story. I'll show you. There. So as I bend this piece, you know, I got to start, I guess I start at the bottom, seems like you would. And as I bend it, it sticks up high enough it would have hit the overhead door. I don't know if you can see that. That's in the frame. I'm the worst videographer ever, so probably not. Anyway, it's sticking up there high enough that it would have hit the overhead door. And I just said, you know what? I'm not going to fight with it. I'll just wait till I can move it outside. It'll be nice fresh air anyways. So that's where we're at. We got to just clean these edges up, get that butyl tape on them, and then we're going to install this. It should be easy, right? It's not going to be easy. The trick with this is going to be, I can tell, I've never even done it, but I already can tell what's going to happen is when you bend this around the corner, because this camper's all curvy like the ladies, this side is going to want to bulge out and want to pucker, and that's because when you bend it this way, it is metal forming lesson. When you bend it this way, this metal has to go somewhere. So it's either going to go in or go out. It can't go in because there's a camper in the way, so it's going to bulge out. And I don't want to leave it like that. It would really annoy me. I'm hoping that as I go, if I very slowly make the bends and I tap on the side with a rubber hammer or a brass hammer, I'm hopeful that I can, because you can shrink metal, you can stretch metal, you can shrink metal, but it'll always take the easy way, which is just to bend, right? But if I can very gently tap on the side, keep it from bulging out, I think if I go nice and slow, I can actually shrink this as I bend it, shrink this edge, which it'll make it fatter, but that's okay. You'll never notice that. It'll be a tiny amount fatter, but it'll follow the contours without this wall buckling. Because first, it's ugly, and second, it leaves a gap where water could get in, and that's not good either. You know, the idea is to keep the water out. I'm talking like I know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. All right, let's just see. Let's see what happens. I just wanted to, if this is a project that you're actually doing, my DIY video making skills are poor, okay? But I think I wanted to make sure that you understood what I'm talking about here. So I guess you could think of this trim as two different pieces of metal, right? Think of it as this piece, which we're wrapping around the camper, and that's in the metal fab world, they call that the easy way, right? So that piece of metal will easily wrap around the curve of a camper or of anything. And then think of this as a separate piece. Of course they're connected, but think of it as a separate piece of metal because it's going to behave completely differently. This one is bending what they call, yes, the hard way. So when you bend this thing, you're going to go along, you're going to put a screw in here, and then you're going to bend this to match the curve of the camper. It's going to go this way. And as it does, this metal has to go somewhere. Metal, you can cut it, you can bend it, you can stretch it, or you can shrink it. And actually even bending it has to involve stretching or shrinking, which in this case, we need to do both. We need to bend it in this direction, but in order to do that, we need to shrink this edge. If I can get it to work right, then I will gently bend it and I will tap this in because it's going to want to pop out. I'll tap it in just to hold it where it is, basically. What that should do is force this metal to gather. It'll shrink. It'll actually get thicker. Not a noticeable amount, but it will get thicker. You'll actually force the same amount of metal to be in less of a space. I don't know how to say it to make, because different things click with different people, but we're going to try to make it shrink as we go along, and that should keep this from buckling. If you don't, it's going to just take the easy way, which is you put a screw in here and then you bend this some more and it'll just buckle. But I hope that helps it make some sense to you. That's what you're up against if you're going to form this new trim onto an old camper. The tighter the curve, the sharper the curve, the worse it's going to be. A nice gentle curve. Well, this little curve I put on the end, it's not really noticeable because of two things. It's not that much of an angle, and it's a fairly large radius. That seemed easy. Now maybe they have another thing that comes into play when you're bending metal is the temper, the hardness of the metal. So if it's too hard, which some aluminums are, it'll fracture when you try to bend it. It'll crack. Not fracture like, break, but it'll get cracks on it. But then there's also tempers, which it makes sense. This may be that way, where they soften it to a point where it bends really easy and it shrinks and or stretches really easy. Might even do it itself for all I know. You know what? Let's just stop talking and try it. We'll see what we get. I've got the butyl tape on the camper. Let me just peel off the paper. Okay, pro tip, if you can take them from an amateur, keep your butyl tape in the refrigerator, not in the hot sun. It's very hard to work with once it's hot. I'm going to go throw my extra rolls right in the refrigerator right now before I go any further, because this is kind of nasty. It gets really doughy and hard to pull the tape off. I think once you get a run on it, yeah, it's okay, but it's not great. But what I wanted you to see was that I took the time to be a little precise with the tape, and I made sure that it wrapped around the edge. Don't just put it on this face. Put the majority of it on this face because the trim is wider on this face than this one. But make sure that you wrap it around the edge. Now, I don't know if this is the right thing to do. It just seems like the right thing to do, okay? But it should keep any water from coming this way, which certainly can happen down here. You know, water running down the siding is going to go right into here, and if it could, it may wick around and get in. I don't know. So just do that, or don't. Maybe watch videos of people who know what they're doing and decide then. I'm going to put my tape in the fridge, and we're going to try to get started. Hey, why try to tell you about it when I can show you about it, right? This is what it wants to do, and I can already tell you it's gonna be easy to fix. So see how it's puckered? I was wrong. It didn't do it at the last screw hole, which was here, or the next screw hole, which was here. It did it wherever the biggest bend in the camper was, really. But you should be able to just work either side of it a bit. Let me try this little brass hammer, because there's still a little bit there. Scratched it a little, but that'll come out with a little SOS pad, you know, pretty easy. That's pretty good. It's actually bent in a bit, but I'm gonna take it. I think I'll get better at it as I go, and that was much easier than what I had feared. So that's what you're up against. We'll see what the next one does. The bend up at the top is a lot longer bend. It's not sharper. In fact, it's less sharp, I think, than this one, but it's longer. So let's just see what happens. Fun fact, GoPros don't like the heat. I had to move you into the shade. Two more tips for you. I won't call them pro tips because I'm not a pro. A, don't do this out in the bright sun. If you can find a shady spot, do it there, because this tape is harder to work with when it's gooey. I should have known this. I didn't think about it. Actually, I didn't know it was gonna be this hot today. It's fall and it's supposed to be cooling off. But anyways, the other thing is, so I'm keeping my extra rolls in the refrigerator in the garage, but I also just, you know, throw that over there to keep it in the shade. Makes it a little bit better. It's kind of like, it's okay, but once it's down, you're not taking it back up without really making a mess. So you just have to go slower and be a little more careful putting it down. It's gonna be okay. Hey, I don't know if you noticed or not, but that's one side, all done. One thing I had planned on as I went along, trimming off the excess schmutz that oozes out there. I can't do that because it's so hot. I gotta wait till it's a cooler evening or something. And then I'll just go along with a razor, very gently, try not to scratch the metal. Just trim off that excess that just oozes out a little here and there where it's a little tighter. I'm pretty happy with that. You know, that's the worst spot right there. And I know it looks quite bad, but it's really shiny metal, and that really shows the imperfections. It's not terrible. I might tweak on it a little bit more, but it isn't bad. Back here, where the arc is much more gradual, I hardly had to do any tweaking. It just worked. I'm really quite pleased with this stuff. So, hey, this is half done. This is a job I've been dreading for a long time, and it's half finished. You can see these holes along the bottom here. I still need to put on there's a piece of aluminum that goes on there that's for holding a awning, which I don't plan on using an awning, but I gotta have something to fill those holes. So I'm just gonna put another row of butyl tape and put that stuff back up there, and it'll cover up all those holes so the water doesn't leak in there. I got to do that on both sides also, but so I guess I'm not quite half done, but it's close enough. Hey, those strips are done. All I got left to make this thing waterproof is the front and the back edge of the rubber roof where it meets the metal. This overlaps, you can see it about that much on the metal, probably 6 inches at least, over the old metal. That's glued down. Now I'm gonna put butyl tape along, you know, half on the rubber, half on the original metal. And then I got this trim that screws onto it. So all I gotta do is cut this piece of metal to length, whatever I need here. Then I got to tape it up and get it screwed down. Do the back, same thing on the back, and this will be done. And there it is, done. I gotta tell you, that job was a lot less icky than I thought it was gonna be. I've been dreading it, and it didn't go too bad. Not nearly as hard as I thought. That stuff that you can buy, the edging, is nice. It does just what it's supposed to do. Needs just a very little bit of tweaking. If you had a camper with really tight curves, you know, like smaller curves than these, it would be harder for sure. You know, the tighter the curve, the harder it would be, the more tweaking it might take. But this one really wasn't too bad. The only thing I have left is to put those strips back up where the awning would slide into. Like I had said, I just need to plug the holes. and I'm all out of butyl tape. I got to get some more. I used every last bit of it doing the front and the rear cross pieces there. So I'm gonna call it done. It's done enough for now. It's really hot. I'm ready to take a break, and I just got called. I got to go look at a fire in the county here. So it's a good time to call it quits. You know, it's hard to believe, but I think there's only one video left, and it's the one I've been waiting for. This thing is done. This morning I tested all the plumbing, all the electrical inside, everything is done. This rig is ready to go, except for scrubbing this paint, trying to maybe make it shine a little bit. I don't know. I'd love it if it could match the new paint on the serving window. But if it can't, it can't, you know? So my next video on this camper should be the last and should be one of the most satisfying, because this has got like a forest growing on the back of it of little lichens. And all that's got to come off, and we're going to scrub. We're going to get the oxidized paint off and maybe even do a little buffing. You're going to have to watch and see. We'll see how it comes out. I don't know. You know, it could be bad. Might be really bad. Make sure you watch the next video. Thank you for watching this video. I appreciate your time. God bless you. God bless the United States of America.